I am Seth Grantley, and welcome to the GKT Community Podcast, a podcast where we meet one of the inspirational people who share their knowledge and lived experience on globalknowledgetransfer.com. Welcome to the Global Knowledge Transfer Community Podcast, Alessia. It is great to have you on the podcast this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
When you were at high school, what did you want to be and why?
When I was at high school, I wanted to become a diplomat because I have always found geopolitics and the, history really fascinating. I'm seeing what we can learn from history. And I thought being a diplomat would really give me sort of access to this incredibly exciting and impactful world. But I didn't get the marks to study international studies. And for 18-year-old me, that was devastating. And it really felt like a real failure. But in the end, I studied liberal studies at the University of Sydney and loved it, and went on to do an honours in gender studies and loved that too. I still am really interested in all of that, the geopolitical stuff that goes on and history. It was better that I didn't have that as my all, my everything, my career, my personality, my passion, because I get to do some really good, exciting and creative stuff in the job that I do now and the business that I run. So that's why I think it worked out just the way it was supposed to.
If you could go back and talk to that year 12 Alessia, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Redefining what success looks like as well. I was a very driven type A student. Yeah, I think just not so much pressure. And like I said, things will turn out the way that they're supposed to.
Can you give us your career highlights, 2 or 3, that give us an indication of how you've got to where you are today?
I started with the Sydney Morning Herald as part of their book publishing team. That was an incredible first job. I loved that. I learned a lot, not just on the job, but also it was like incredibly exciting to be up in the newsroom when a big story was breaking. And I started to think about wanting to work in a space where I was able to sort of give back and more about community. So I moved from media into not-for-profit and worked for the National Breast and Ovarian Cancer Centre, part of their comms team. It's now Cancer Australia, working on resources to raise awareness on breast and ovarian cancer, but also creating resources for young women who were going through breast cancer. So that was an incredibly impactful part of my career, and I loved that. And so I started my shift into the B2B events and marketing space. And I've been working freelance in the B2B events and marketing space since 2016.
What's your current role and why do you love it so much?
I work freelance and I'm currently working in content strategy and execution. I love the work that I do just purely because of the variety of the work that I have and the people that I work with. I work really closely with my clients and I feel like that works really well for the way that I like to do work, which is deep work. And there's a particular focus on podcasts, which I love. I love everything about it, listening to them, producing them, thinking about ways that I can turn things into a podcast. And then I do everything from project management, so end to end, writing the scripts, doing the interviews, creating marketing assets and everything.
What would you say the 3 key contributors to your success have been and why?
I care a lot about the work that I produce, but that can be a double-edged sword because I can probably get a bit too in. I'm very curious. I like to understand things on a very deep level. So I feel like that has helped me be a good problem solver for my clients. Also, I kind of like to think that I have a good left brain, right brain combination. What I mean by that is like I'm an obsessive list maker. I really like rhythms and routines. I feel like that helps me to create sustainable processes that then in turn support sustainable content creation. Sometimes I feel like we live such a charmed and privileged life that bouncing back from these small things is just what you got to do. I remember when I was young, my dad gave me a copy. He's got like a poem about persistence. It's basically saying like nothing will take the place of persistence. Like if you're persistent and you persist, it'll all kind of work out.
We've all been influenced by many great people in our careers. Could you perhaps think about someone who's had an impact on your career, the role they played, and what impact that had on you?
My mum used to cut out articles from the Sydney Morning Herald for me that she thought I might enjoy reading. So to work there was actually a dream. My dad has a really amazing work ethic and a very entrepreneurial mind and built a really successful pharmacy business in Western Sydney. I grew up in a house that fostered knowledge and also fostered hard work. I've worked with really switched on people throughout all of my entire career, and I've learnt lots of different things from all of them. The beauty of having such a varied career and the opportunity now in the work that I do to work with so many different people. I would definitely say that the person I was in business and career and everything when I started in 2016 is nowhere near the person that I am now. I feel like I've grown in confidence, knowing what is right for me and what I want to work on. I've approached things is getting bits and pieces from every single person or interaction or experience that I've had.
You've joined globalknowledgetransfer.com. What do you hope to achieve by being on the platform, and what do you hope to enable others with that?
Learning from others in maybe a less academic and structured kind of way, I think is really, really cool. Being able to make connections and listening to how people have either approached certain parts of their career journey or how they've solved a specific problem. I think from a skill set point of view, like content strategy, understanding what content works and resonates particularly from a B2B point of view. I would never have thought that I was a leader. I just think of myself as one of the team, but people work with me because of the skill set and the expertise that I have, and they look to me for advice or guidance or leadership. That's really what I see Global Knowledge Transfer being able to, facilitate and enable that.
Our listeners like us are facing many challenges in their lives. Talk to us about 3 top challenges you've faced and overcome in your life or career and how you've done that.
I am building a business whilst also building a family, and how do you manage that and balance that? I had my first son in 2014, and getting back into the workforce after having kids can be tough. That can be hard. If you've been away for a couple of years, do you feel confident? I think that can be a challenge. I was sort of dabbling around and doing a few things in 2014 and 2016, but in 2016 I was like, now it's time to sort of really get started and try something. I was working remotely and freelance well before COVID, right? And then COVID accelerated this work from home shift. I found people really starting to have these discussions, like how do you get that work-life balance when you're working from the kitchen table with your kids at home? And why does productivity have to equal hours chained to a desk? All those sorts of things. So I think it's been really good to see that kind of shift in thinking and realizing that good work can be done in lots of different ways. The reason why I didn't go back into the role that I was in, for 2 reasons. The first reason is they wouldn't offer me part-time, which I think is really interesting and really disappointing. And then the second one was that I didn't want to travel as much. So the role that I had would see me traveling Melbourne, just interstate, but I didn't really want to be away. And then I just got one job and that led to another and another. All of my work really has been through word of mouth. It's hard. It can be challenging. You sometimes feel quite isolated, even if you do have clients. But also it's stressful to think about where the next part of work is going to come from. So I'm wanting to stay the course because I like the work that I do. It offers the flexibility that I want and need. And it's just nice to work with lots of different people.
If you could have 1 hour with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
And maybe Agatha Christie. I'd love to chat with her. She was a great author. I think she's fantastic. So now I'm going to go down this road of like just female authors like Sylvia Plath and all these people.
So talk to me about why female authors resonate. What is it that you would ask them? What would you talk to them about?
I just think both those women living in a really interesting time, I suppose. I don't know where they got their ideas, where they got their confidence to put words to paper. This one's got me.
Alessia, it has been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Seth, for having me. It's been fun.
That is all we have time for today. Thanks to our guest and our sponsor, globalknowledgetransfer.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be sure to meet more inspirational individuals from the Global Knowledge Transfer community in future episodes.